Welcome to The Obscured Mind, where we peel back the layers of truth that society doesn't want you to see. Today, we'll dive deep into the mind of one of the most controversial political figures in modern history, Donald Trump. Is he really the madman that the media often portrays? Or is there a cold, calculating strategist behind the chaotic facade? Let's find out. Welcome back to The Obscured Mind. To many, Donald Trump comes across as a wildly unconventional, even reckless politician. He says outrageous things, acts without seeming to follow any rules, and the media only amplifies this image. An unpredictable old man with a golden mop of hair who's always looking to stir the pot. His seemingly impulsive decisions, like slapping tariffs on China, threatening trade wars, or pulling out of international agreements, have shocked the world. But is that the full picture? Or are we trapped in a narrow narrative, one carefully crafted by the media and those who pull the strings? If you look closely, you'll begin to see that what appears to be chaos may actually be a deliberate and calculated performance. Trump's actions are not driven by raw emotion. They're part of a larger strategy. What seems like reckless rebellion is actually a way to shake up the old order and force others to adapt. This is known as the madman strategy. And in today's episode, we're going to decode it. We'll explore what truly drives Trump's political decisions. How has he manipulated media and public psychology? What is America First really about? And where did it come from? What are the long-term goals behind his tariff threats? And finally, Westy, how is the world reacting now that the U.S. is flipping the global table? Get ready for a whole new perspective. Trump, madman or mastermind? The foundation and the madman strategy. Trump is often painted as an emotional, impulsive leader, but that image couldn't be further from the truth. He's not just a loud-mouthed outsider. Trump has a formal education in business and economics. He graduated from Wharton, one of the top business schools in the U.S. Before entering politics, he built a real estate empire, ran dozens of companies, and weathered multiple economic crises. He understands markets, how crowd psychology shapes value, and, most importantly, how to control the game. His surprise decisions, tariffs on China, withdrawing from trade deals, pressuring allies, aren't random outbursts. They're negotiation tactics. Like a businessman renegotiating a bad contract, Trump uses disruption to weaken the opponent, reset the rules, and secure better terms for his side. This is classic business strategy. Apply pressure, break the old system, and force a new deal. This strategy is often referred to as the madman theory. Pretend to be unpredictable, even irrational, so others are too scared to challenge you. If people believe you might do anything, even something extreme, they're more likely to back down or negotiate. Trump used this both in diplomacy and trade. Take China, Mexico, and Canada. He threatened heavy tariffs. Initially, they pushed back, but eventually all three came back to the table and signed deals more favorable to the U.S. In Mexico's case, he didn't even have to impose the tariffs. Just the threat was enough to make Mexico tighten border controls. In short, Trump pretended to be mad to get results. He didn't play by the media's rules, but he got things done. And in the world of hollow political speech, a madman like Trump forced people to pay attention. 2. Master of the media, a new kind of psychological warfare. Trump isn't just market savvy. He's a media manipulator of the highest order. Even if he seems at odds with the press, every tweet, every outrageous comment sends shockwaves through markets and headlines. He constantly creates chaos, one day blasting China, the next shaking hands, contradicting himself daily. This isn't carelessness, it's a strategy. In an age of information overload, the one who controls attention holds power. Trump floods the airwaves with noise so that no one can predict his next move. The media can't ignore him. Whether they love or hate him, they must report him. Ironically, the more they criticize him, the more famous he becomes. The more outrage he sparks, the more central he becomes in public discourse. This is modern psychological warfare. No weapons, just carefully crafted messages. Trump uses chaos to blur the lines between truth and falsehood. He sows confusion among America's enemies and division within the U.S. forcing moderates to choose sides. And in that case, Trump remains the central figure, not a clown, but the puppeteer. On America First, a deep economic vision. Trump didn't just target trade deficits. He spoke directly to the American working class, the people who lost jobs and identity when factories moved overseas. He understood a brutal truth. Since 1971, when the U.S. left the gold standard, the government and Federal Reserve could print unlimited money. This created a global system where the U.S. borrows and spends, and the rest of the world accepts those dollars or borrows in them, even though real production has moved offshore. Trump wasn't the first to see it, but he was the first to say it and act on it. He called out the dependency on debt and imports, warning that the U.S. economy had become fragile and hollow. He argued that relying on money printing instead of real production was a dangerous trap. The consequences were clear. Massive trade deficits, over $1.2 trillion in 2023 alone. Exploding national debt, over $36.2 trillion as of Q1 2025. Over 1.2 us the US's GDP. Decline in manufacturing jobs, over 4.7 million lost since 2000. These weren't just numbers. They represented a betrayal of the American working class. Trump capitalized on that betrayal. He promised to bring factories back, impose tariffs, and punish companies that outsourced. He offered tax cuts and deregulation to attract investment. And it worked. Companies like GM and Ford reinvested in Ohio and Texas in 2009. Even Apple began shifting some production to India and Vietnam after facing $900 million extra costs from Trump-era China tariffs. Make America Great Again wasn't just a slogan. It was an economic reset. Tariffs as strategic weapons, costly signals with long-term goals. Trump's tariff threats weren't tantrums. They were calculated signals. In foreign policy theory, this is called a costly signal, a warning that hurts you too, but proves you're serious. When Trump threatened 46% tariffs on Vietnamese goods, Vietnam quickly returned to the table, offering to cut U.S. tariffs and buy more American goods. These tariffs had broader goals. Reduce trade deficits. With Vietnam alone, the 2024 deficit hit $120 billion. Fight inflation and debt. Tariffs can slow imports, reduce spending, and ease pressure on the dollar. Strengthen the real economy. Trump wanted the dollar to reflect true economic output, not just borrowing. Undermine China's grip on supply chains. By pressuring countries like Vietnam to source away from Chinese suppliers, he disrupted China's global influence. This wasn't about today. It was about reshaping the future. Global reactions in the great game, risks and opportunities. When Trump imposed tariffs, countries reacted fiercely. Canada, Mexico, and the EU all pushed back. Some imposed retaliatory tariffs. Others began reducing reliance on the US. China, Russia, Iran, and Brazil started creating parallel financial systems to bypass the dollar and SWIFT. By 23, China and Brazil signed trade deals using their own currencies. Russia and China linked their SPFS and CPS systems to replace SWIFT. A new financial bloc is rising, and it's not built around the U.S. This threatens America's dominance. If enough countries stop using the dollar, U.S. power erodes. Even the IMF has warned, if the dollar loses its central role, it could destabilize emerging markets. But what if Trump succeeds? Balanced trade and reduced debt. Tariffs could reset the economy. A stronger, more honest dollar, backed by real output, not just printing. A fairer global order, one based on production, not just consumption. Conclusion. Donald Trump is often dismissed as a madman, impulsive, reckless, vulgar. But maybe in a world full of scripted politicians and polite puppets, breaking the rules is the most rational move. Maybe flipping the table isn't destruction. It's the only way to build a new game. Only those who dare to do what no one else will dare can change the rules. And Trump, by pretending to be insane, may have done just that. You don't have to like him. You don't have to agree with him. But you can't ignore that he forced the entire system and the world to rethink America's place in it. He challenged globalization, debt-driven economics, and elite consensus. He forced everyone to pick a side, and that has never happened before in the modern globalized era. So the real question isn't, is Trump crazy? The real question is, do you see the game you're caught in? Are you awake to the deficits, the debt, the inequality, and the global order designed for the few? Or are you still dreaming, lulled by friendly anchors, scripted politicians, and a false sense of security? Stay with the obscured mind, and we'll keep uncovering what's been hidden. See you in the next episode.